This game's fun, but there's something missing. Yeah. Bernie Sanders. It wouldn't be a Jazzbur video if I didn't talk about some random game you've never heard of from Steam, now would it? Today, the culprit is Super Bernie World. Yes, you heard me correctly. Super Bernie World. A platformer game where the main character is Bernie Sanders? It's too good to be true. The perfect game might actually exist. But first, what is Super Bernie World? Who made it and where did it come from? Super Bernie World was developed by... What? Click the link and we're taken to Kitsune Games LLC Steam page. Very sneaky of them to put up a front like that, but let's continue. The team has one official release under their belt outside of Super Bernie World, that being the action roguelike title Mid-Boss. I wish I had some good things to say about this game, but I don't, unfortunately. Historically, I'm downright horrendous at this type of game, micromanaging tons of ultra-specific stats, isometric grid-based combat and movements, an overwhelming amount of upgrades and abilities, and I get lost real quick. Jumping into Mid-Boss, grasping its concepts and mechanics is like being taught how to swim in an Olympic-sized pool. Have you ever heard the saying, simple to learn, difficult to master? Consider Mid-Boss difficult to learn and difficult to master. Mid-Boss isn't bad, or even mediocre for that matter, I just happen to be awful at it, so I can't hold much against it. If it looks like your kind of game, by all means try it out. It's just not my cup of tea is all. Kitsune Games has another game coming out soon called Lore Finder, Metroidvania style game where you play as a paranormal investigator searching for their father. Looks pretty fun and I definitely want to try this out in the future. But enough of my gaming shortcomings and future releases, let's play some Super Bernie World. We're greeted with a very standard menu, new game, volume, credits, par for the course. But we also have Pitchin' for Bernie. 20 seconds into playing this game has already left a lasting impression on me. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most absurdly hilarious combinations of letters to be on the menu of any video game ever created. Pitchin' for Bernie! Click it and there's a small paragraph asking you to please vote for Bernie Sanders and, at the very least, to check out his campaign website. I'm starting to think subtlety isn't this game's strong suit. Upon starting a new game, we're given a small talking to from, Melting Play-Doh Richard Nixon? It kind of sucks I can't grasp this story because I am Canadian and, I guess, unintentionally ignorant, but, that's what I get for being me. According to the game, these are actual quotes from actual newsworthy persons. But I don't care about real-world accuracy, even though I probably should. I just want to know if the game's fun to play. It doesn't take long to notice the blatant tribute to Mario 3's style and gameplay. Hell, if you really want to stretch it, you could say this even feels like the original Super Mario Bros. I do think it is more reminiscent of Mario 3, specifically in the color palette and physics, but to each their own. The controls are pretty similar to Mario, and by pretty similar, I mean the exact same. Move left and right, crouch, a button to jump, and a button which doubles as a sprint modifier, as well as throw fireballs. Controls here are nice, tight, and solid. Momentum, response time, and speed all feel proper in quality. We've grown up in a day and age where platform controls have almost been mastered, thanks in part to Mario and other Nintendo mascots of the sort, but it's nice to see that a relatively unknown, small-scale game can continue the trend of strong platformer controls. Good controls in video games are as expected as seats in a movie theater, but I gotta give credit where credit is due, and the controls here are really nice, so that was a pleasant surprise. Level environments are similar as well. Everything in the background has little smiley faces on them. We even have altered skin versions of brick blocks and warp pipes. However, the blocks can't be broken and the pipes don't take you anywhere. They're both strictly cosmetic. It felt kind of jarring that two staple features weren't expanded upon. All it would have done was just make the game greater than what's on the surface. Whatever though, not a huge loss. Enemy roll call time. Goombas are now sidestepping firefighter helmets. Koopa and Paratroopas are now caricatures of some politician I don't know. Hammer Brothers are now torch-throwing pilgrims, possibly? Bullet bills are the same but have the word ice written on them, which, okay. Last but not least, piranha plants are now hissy fit throwing crybabies. I love these guys. They're so dopey looking and legitimately unintimidating, flailing their arms around with a single protruding tooth. Time for the item swaps now. Question blocks are now star blocks. For the mushrooms, we have babushka doll heads. Grab the babushka head and Bernie grows bigger. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say in my life. Fire flowers are now roses. At first I thought they were fire roses, you know, grab the fire rose and you throw fireballs, but you don't throw fireballs, you just throw roses. Like Tuxedo Mask. Wrapping things up for the star, we got a big balled up fist. I was hoping in grabbing this that meant that I would get to see Bernie beat the shit out of a bunch of people on screen, but that didn't happen, so rip to that dream. Of course, the creme de la creme of all things visual in this game is the main man himself. Bernie looks completely goofy with his frazzled hair and inebriated smile. He looks like he just got caught making out with some fine lady in a photo booth, or like he just finished playing 7 Minutes in Heaven. I love it. Our platforming adventures span across several states of the good old US of A. It's sort of a mixed bag. Levels are enjoyable to play and appropriately progress in difficulty the further you get, but, and I'm shocked to say this, the levels lack, of all things, any distinct personality. In my book, this is a huge missed opportunity. Like, without me telling you, would you be able to tell me what state this is purely based on what you can see? Well, if you guess Kentucky, you're wrong. It's Michigan. Yeah. Michigan. I think it would have been super cool to see each state represented in some sort of quirky, weird way, not even with different enemies or level layouts, but maybe a unique backdrop or something. Why not put a cool pixelated sunset skyline of the Gateway Arch for Missouri, the Rocky Steps in Pennsylvania, or the Statue of Liberty for New York? Like, does this scream New York to you? At all? Not for me, it doesn't. Even if it was just one super minute, tiny, ultra-specific detail per level, I think that would have given Super Bernie World a lot more charm and cheekiness. As for gameplay, it's what you'd expect from a Mario clone. Some standard platforming, jumping on enemies, and grabbing coins, or votes as they're labeled in this game. Make it to the end, run that flagpole, then take your tour bus to the next state. This is kinda like how I mentioned the controls earlier. Like the controls, the gameplay is just expected to be good from years and years of companies and games upping the bar of what a standard quality is, but once again, this is something I gotta put a good word in for. Even if it is a copy-paste of the tried and true Mario formula, it still does it right. But hey, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? There isn't anything that Super Bernie World itself brings to the table, like, oh, that's a cool thing I've never seen before, or hey, that's pretty nifty. It simply sets itself up well. Each level fairly introduces you to enemies and obstacles in a way that you can gauge the problem ahead of you, not through trial and error, but a careful balance of gradually increasing the challenge as your skill within the game increases. That means lots of less threatening enemies and easy jumps early, and dangerous and harder to stick platforming popping up later. Really mindful monitorization on progress is key to how the player perceives the game. Does it feel too hard, too easy, or just right? Do I feel like I'm getting better at mastering the game, or not? Do I feel rewarded and a sense of accomplishment with what I've done thus far, or no? Super Bernie World does all of these well, if with no originality and not innovating anything itself. The final level to each world caps things off with a castle level, oh yes. Fireballs and lava act as barriers to slow you down. Sky blue glass like squares covering the floor and ceiling. We see those notorious flaming hot Cheetos coming our way. As we approach the end, I have a fair assumption on who's going to be there, but I'll hold out all my judgments until we arrive at our final destination. You know what? I kind of knew it was going to be him, but they really could have done him a hell of a lot worse than what's here on our screen. Oh, but it's not Trump? It's Ted Cruz. Every world starts with a chit-chat with an American politician. These fucking icon sprites, I feel like they're trying to subtly jab at how ugly these guys are without being outright mean about it. Like, they really put shadows on this dude's double chin. Like, his entire double chin. That's pretty ruthless. Despite whatever politician you run into, all the final level world bosses are the same. Another small missed opportunity here, I feel. It makes what should be these grand finale showdown climaxes a lot more slapped together, with the exception being the final world. Oh goodness. They really... Someone sure fucking hates Trump, don't they? Can we get a quick fact check? Could we prove this is an actual quote Mr. President said? The devs sure did decide to leave the best and hardest for last, holy shit. Look at these jumps, there's zero room for error. I did get stuck on these levels a lot longer than I'd like to admit, but I finally felt like I was really getting tested on how good at the game I'd got. Florida and New York can both stick it, especially New York. Holy shit, that was a train wreck to get through. Once we traverse all the dangerous locations that make up the East Coast of America, we arrive in DC. And now it's time. Man versus Trump. He just gives up immediately. Cowering in fear with tears streaming down his face, he begs you not to kick him out of the White House. Just like that, we've saved the world. I think? The credits are pretty cool. Only 5 names on screen, but with a Mario-style glove pointing at all time. Scroll on whoever and press it to get you taken to their Twitter page. This is pretty sweet. I enjoy searching the crevices of the indie game scene at times, checking out specific companies and the people behind them. It's a deep well to fall down at times, but it can lead to some fun findings of games and other projects I otherwise would have never known about. Overall, I like Super Bernie World a lot. All the things that I mentioned that I wish were added are small quality of life improvements at best. Just make the nice things a little nicer, you know? And for the cheap price of free to play, I don't see any reason why anyone shouldn't give this game a try. This makes Super Bernie World the second most entertaining piece of propaganda I've ever played, right behind Justin Trudeau's Punch-Out. Nothing will ever top that.
Nice work, Matt. You got it all figured out.